Welcome back to the High Performance Podcast. I'm Sebastian, and today we're going to explore one of the most underrated and yet most powerful skills a leader can master: the art of strategic silence. In a world obsessed with constant communication, endless updates, and showing up louder and faster than everyone else, those who master the discipline of silence move with a different kind of power. Today, I'll show you how using silence strategically can help you conquer key positions inside any organization, outmaneuver louder rivals, and position yourself as a true leader without ever needing to shout. Let's get started. First, let's tackle the biggest myth: silence is not weakness. In fact, when used properly, silence is one of the strongest strategic tools at your disposal. People often confuse silence with passivity, submission, or lack of confidence. But in reality, strategic silence is a conscious choice, a way to control conversations, perceptions, and momentum without being obvious about it. Here's the reality: in high stakes environments, the person who talks less, listens more, and times their words carefully often holds the real power in the room. Silence is presence. Silence is control. Silence is influence, but only when you use it intentionally. Now, let's break down why strategic silence works. First, silence creates space, and space creates pressure. When you remain silent at the right moments, you force others to fill that space. And when people fill space impulsively, they often reveal more than they intend to: their fears, their insecurities, their real motivations. In negotiation, leadership discussions, and political dynamics inside organizations, the person who can withstand the tension of silence gains critical information without having to ask aggressive questions. Information is power, and silence draws it out. Second, silence amplifies your words when you finally speak. If you're always talking, your words lose weight. If you speak less, but with precision, clarity, and intention, your words land with much greater impact. People listen more closely to those who choose their moments carefully. Third, silence signals strength. When you don't feel the need to fill every silence, defend every point, or react to every comment, you communicate deep confidence. You send a message: I am not desperate for validation. I am comfortable with who I am and with the space I hold. And in environments where perception shapes power, that signal is invaluable. Now that you understand why silence is powerful, let's talk about how to use strategic silence to conquer key positions inside an organization. There are four key ways to apply this art. One, master the art of the silent observation. In meetings, negotiations, or leadership conversations, practice active silence. Don't rush to speak. Don't rush to react. Instead, listen to every word. Watch every body movement. Pay attention to tone, not just content. Notice who defers to who interrupts whom, and who really commands the room. In silence, you will notice dynamics that others miss. You will see the real structure of power, not the one shown on organizational charts. And once you see the real map, you can begin planning your moves far more intelligently. Two, use silence to destabilize and reveal. When someone makes a bold claim, proposes a rushed decision, or tries to pressure you into agreement, resist the temptation to answer immediately. Instead, let the silence hang in the air. Let them become uncomfortable. People hate unresolved silence. They often feel compelled to keep talking, and in doing so, they reveal doubts, weaknesses, or hidden agendas. By staying silent, you force the other person to expose more of their position, giving you crucial information to make better strategic decisions. Three, choose moments of precision communication. Strategic silence doesn't mean you never speak, it means you speak with purpose. When you decide to break your silence, your message should be clear, direct, insightful, hard to challenge. Because you've listened deeply and observed carefully, you will be able to say things that cut through the noise, things that others didn't see or dare to articulate. When you speak after strategic silence, your words will shape conversations, not just participate in them. This is how leaders shift momentum, align teams, and claim positions of influence without ever seeming aggressive. 4. Allow silence to elevate your presence. Sometimes the greatest strategic move is to say less even after success. Imagine this: you achieve a big result, or you make a key contribution. What do most people do? They broadcast it loudly, they flood others with reminders, they celebrate endlessly. Smart leaders don't. They allow their results to speak for themselves. They maintain an aura of calm, composed strength. And guess what? The less you scream for recognition, the more powerful your image becomes. The more others are left to admire and sometimes fear the quiet force behind the success. You become a mystery people want to solve, a leader people want to follow, not because you demanded it, but because you commanded it through your silence and your results. Now, let's be honest, using silence strategically is not easy. It requires deep self confidence, emotional control, patience, and a sharp strategic mind. Most people feel anxious during silence. They rush to fill the gap. They confuse movement with progress. But those who master their own discomfort and use silence with intention position themselves above the noise. And at the highest levels of leadership, silence is often more powerful than any speech you could make. Let me give you a practical challenge. Over the next week, choose 3 situations where you normally would rush to speak: a meeting, a difficult conversation, or a decision making session. In each of these moments, stay silent 10 seconds longer than you normally would. Observe what others say when you don't fill the gap. Notice how the dynamics shift simply because you allowed space. You'll be surprised at what people reveal. You'll be amazed at how your own presence changes. And slowly, you will start mastering the discipline of strategic silence. Before we close, remember this: leadership is not about who speaks the most. Leadership is about who controls the space. And controlling the space doesn't always mean dominating conversations. Sometimes it means mastering the quiet spaces between conversations, the silences where real power lives. Silence used strategically earns trust faster, commands more respect, and positions you for key opportunities more naturally than 1,000 words ever could. The question is, are you willing to embrace the discomfort? Are you willing to trust that your presence, your insight, and your strategic patience are more powerful than constant noise? Because if you are, I guarantee you this: you will conquer key positions, not by shouting, not by rushing, but by mastering the quiet. Thank you for joining me today on the High Performance Podcast. Stay sharp, stay intentional, and remember, in the world of true leadership, the loudest voice is rarely the one in control. The real power belongs to those who know when to stay silent and when to strike with precision. See you in the next episode.